Welcome, everybody, to the Eagles Nest podcast. Thanks for joining us tonight. It is June 19th, 2022. We're filming live from the San Luis Valley here in southern Colorado. And as you can see, we're doing this double screen thing. And yeah, if you tell me which screen you like best in the comments. And yeah, so this one up here is a separate screen, and this one's for my laptop. This one is going to be, I'm using this most of the time throughout the night. But yeah, when we start the shows, it'll be both these. Hey, Trev, how you doing? Good to see you. There's Gigi and Jess is in the house. So Gigi and Jess is waiting to come on, and we'll bring them on in just a moment. Uh, do a little housekeeping for the show. Shout out to River Moon Coffee, rivermoonwellness.com. Thanks for everything that they do. And yeah, if you want some great coffee, go over and check them out. You can go over here. Let me check and see. Go over to sacreddreamswithin.com and you get promo codes for 20% off your first order. Again, you can go there and that's for River Moon Coffee. You can go over to Sacred Dreams Within and get 20% off your first order. And there's promo codes over there at our website. And let's see, we got coming up. We got Dever Shakti coming up on Wednesday. So it looks like we're going to be doing Wednesdays and Sundays now, probably. And that's just how it's flowing. So we got a few interviews coming up. That's in the middle of the week, but we're also going to keep doing our Sunday shows. Tonight we have like a roundtable. We're going to have some guests popping in late. Jason Quitt's coming in later. And maybe some special guests coming up. That's going to be just coming up and promoting some work that's coming up uh, in Colorado and in our community, in the UFO community and spirituality community. There's some amazing festivals coming up. So hopefully we got Bobby Joe going to pop in and talk about the Stardust Fest that's coming up in Golden, Colorado. I'll be speaking there next month in just a few weeks. And man, that's just around the corner. Time's just flying by. We're coming up on solstice in 2 days. That's pretty crazy. So we're getting into that tonight. And Wednesday, we got Deborah Shakti. This coming Wednesday, we got Deborah Shakti coming up. She's going to be talking about the film that she was just one of the people that was featured in. It's streaming now on Amazon. It's been streaming since the beginning of May, I believe, or the beginning of June. Anyways, it's streaming now. But the name of the documentary is Alien Abduction Answers. And her name's Deborah Shakti. We're going to be interviewing her Wednesday. The following Tuesday, we're going to be talking to. I don't want to get this name mixed up. Hold on just a second, guys. But we're going to be talking to the John Yost. He is the director, producer, and also one of the main people featured in the film. We're going to be talking to him the following Tuesday. But in between there, on our normal Sunday shows, next Sunday, we're going to have Sev talk. She is a MUFON director, got tons of years experience in the MUFON game. And she's also going to be the MC and head of the MUFON Symposium. And that's coming up next month here in Colorado, up in Denver. And that's July 8th, 9th, and 10th. So that's coming up next month too. So if you're in Colorado, you can hit up two uh, pretty big festivals. Talk about spirituality and UFOs. The Stardust Fest and the MUFON Symposium all taking place within 3 days, right up here in northern Colorado, up by Denver. As you can hear, my son downstairs, he's teething. So if you can hear him, he's gonna be piping in throughout the night. He's got some teeth coming in, so we're gonna let him be part of the show whenever he pipes in. So, but who else we got coming up? We got my brother Charles. Charles from Florida. He heads up a ketamine treatment facility. He's one of our upcoming guests. We got Micah Dank coming up as one of our upcoming guests. Tonight was going to be Ruben Langdon. So if any of y'all are tuning in right now and you're like, man, where's Ruben at? Ruben contacted me. Well, we contacted each other at the beginning of the week, around Monday or Tuesday, and found out he just got back from filming a bunch of episodes for his show, Interviews with Extra Dimensionals. He asked to be put off for a couple weeks. Promised to come back on, so we will get him back on. And when we get that schedule, I will let you guys know. That's going to be a banger of a conversation, guys. And but he has to be put off for a couple weeks so he could get caught up on some work. And of course, we gotta let him do his work as well. So yeah, his he'll be back on soon though. But if you're here for him, don't be disappointed, because we got Gigi Rabbit from Shift Happens. We got Jess Rogge from the Jess Rogge Show. Her show premieres tomorrow. So yeah, just thought it was awesome to have her on, so she could, her last night off, so she could join in someone else's show on another episode of Host to Host PM. I see her in the background laughing right now, so I know she can hear me. Yeah, and if you haven't checked out my books yet, go check out my books. The first book is sold out on the website, so you can't find it at Sacred Journeys Within no more. We have some copies of the second book left, and you can go over to Amazon. They're always available there. First and second book digital copies. Yeah, I got some amazing stuff coming up. Working on a project that's really gonna be awesome, guys. I wish I could talk about it, and just know that it's gonna be a really cool project, and it's gonna be when I finally am able to tell you guys, I'm gonna have a show that moment, within an hour or two of let me know that I can start talking about this project I'm involved in. It's gonna be a good one. So just buckle up and wait and be patient with me, guys, because you're gonna love it. And yeah, all that being said, if you don't have a book, get a book now. Get a book signed now, and it's it's really good. There's a bunch of stuff happening, and we got some travel coming up in August and stuff. Doing some traveling for some things, and it's gonna be cool. I wish I could tell you guys more, but yeah, I got some amazing guests lined up. It's gonna be fun, and just stay tuned. If this is your first time listening to Eagles Nest podcast and you haven't went over and hit the subscribe button over on the YouTube channel, go ahead and do that for me now, please, and hit that bell so you can know about upcoming guests. Because I have, I got some amazing guests coming up. We have some amazing guests in the past. Jess Rogge was on some of my past shows. Laura Eisenhower, Grant Cameron, Billy Carson, Kevin Day was one of my recent ones. I just also had Brad Olson on, Brett Lauder, yeah, and oh man, who is Joel Lambert was on, True Seeker from True Seekers podcast. Yeah, I'm just so blessed with such an amazing. Oh, and Geraldine, man, who can forget that one? That was an amazing conversation with Geraldine. Who can forget? I'm just so blessed to be able to have such an eclectic, um, collection of people to come and talk to me, man. And I'm just so blessed. And without further ado, I'm going to bring my guests in right now. Start with Gigi Rabbit and Jess Rogge. Thanks, guys, for joining us tonight. Gigi, first time on Eagles Nest. Jess is a veteran, so this is your first time. Welcome, brother.
Yeah, first time here. Thanks for having me. Looking forward to tonight. Absolutely. How's it going, Mr. Dreadless Drew?
Dreadless Drew.
I like it.
Man, I got him in a Ziploc bag, and I don't even know how many there was. I got asked a question the other day, how many was there? And I don't even know. I haven't even counted them yet. So I might do this thing where I just have them on a show one night and be like, if you guess the right amount, then you can get or send them to you or something like that. I don't know.
A friend of mine did something really similar. He had one of those big, long, old grandpa beards, but it wasn't gray though. It was, nice and healthy and black. And he sent it to the wrong address. So some random person just got a bag of beard
It's
hair.
like, what the? Ew. Ew.
That's so funny. Man, what would you do if you open up a package and like it's all a bunch of hair in there?
But so what
That is so
happened
funny.
to what happened to it? Wasn't that long ago you got the dreads? You were just over it, or what happened?
Well,
Thought
I
process.
started growing my hair. That was a lot of hair growth wrapped up in those dreads. I had long hair like before the dreads. The dreads started in October, but at that point I was almost 5 years growing my hair, or maybe it's close to 6 years growing my hair before I started the dreads. So yeah, it was just a long time, and there was a lot of stuff happen. There was a lot of death in my family and stuff, and Native American ways. I should have cut my hair when there was if I'm going by Native American spiritual protocols, I should have cut my hair when there was a first death in my family that was close. So it was very freeing. Plus, there was, to be honest, there was not. It was not a deep spiritual thing like reasoning behind it. One, it was getting itchy, it was getting hot, and that was first and foremost. The other things were kind of in the background, but first and foremost, I just felt like, man, why am I suffering? Like, and
Yeah, so you're just over it, huh?
I'm over it. Yeah, maybe I'll
Yeah.
grow it out again, but who knows? Like,
Yeah, I'm about
it's
ready to cut my hair off too, man. I'm
You
getting.
gonna cut it? You gonna do it, Gigi?
Yeah, I think I'm just gonna go for a buzz cut.
I'm
you
gonna
know.
do it too. Then we'll all buzz our hairs.
All right. Well, I don't know if you should, Jess, but
let's do it. Let's. If you're gonna do it tonight before your show, before your new show starts.
Oh no! Then I'll be wearing a hat like Gigi, just try to cover my bald head if I shave my head. I have a hat.
It's interesting though. There's been such a response to me cutting my hair that in some way it's like, wow, it's like, thanks for the compliments. There's not been anyone that's really said, man, oh my god, you cut your dreads. But there's been some of it's been so over the top. Sometimes I question, what was the conversation about my dreads when I had them on? Because it's like, whoa, like you look so much better. Like,
I don't know, man. I thought it was rad. I was down for the dreads. I was hyped when you remember I called you that day. I called you while you were getting your dreads done. I was like, what? Sick.
You did.
So, I was a fan.
I don't know. I don't regret it. I don't regret it. There was a lot of work that was put into them. My wife put a lot of work into them. Man, she spent hours and hours, and shouts out to her for I forgot about Father's Day. Shout out to all the fathers for Father's Day. Happy Father's Day. Yeah, and all those in a father role, or in man, a special shout out to the ones that are fathers that are separated from their children for whatever reason. Not getting into the reasonings, just saying, I know how it is. I've been there. So shouts out to them. Special prayers out to them in this moment. For whatever reason. Whatever it is. There's never a right reason to be separated from your kids. So yeah, don't want to bring the vibe down.
No. It's good to talk about.
But tonight we're just having an open round table. So whatever you guys have on your chest that you want to bring out, no political stuff, but anything else we can get into. Maybe this should have been like the Disclosure Fest Bandits or something. the
Oh,
because because everybody else, there tons of other people in our that's another thing going on this weekend. It was Disclosure Fest, went on all day yesterday. Huge turnout from all the pictures that I seen there. Wish I could have made it. Definitely gonna try to make it next year, but yeah. So whatever you guys want to talk about.
well, I want to say that I like Drew with dreads and Drew without dreads. The Drew without dreads feels like there's more fresh energy coming out of there. That's what I see.
I feel it, man. And this is a subject I want to get into. We can get into though, but it seems like I was worried about cutting my hair because I was worried about my dreams, like it was going to affect my dream space.
Oh, yes.
And it's done just the opposite. Ever since I cut my hair, my dreams are so much more. They're so intense. I've been sweating. Like I wake up sweating from my dreams, and it takes me a moment to really recenter and remember that I'm back here, and that pop back and forth. It's interesting, I feel like there's an energy shift going on that's been happening over just the past few days. Have you guys been feeling anything different
Yeah.
just over
yeah.
the past few days?
Yeah, past few days, I'd say like energetically it's different, and I feel like synchronicities are kind of popping up a little more frequently. I don't know about you
Yeah.
guys.
Yeah.
Gigi, what's up?
I've had very extremely vivid and lucid dreams these last 3 days.
too, man.
More than
Me
usual.
too, dude.
Like, way more than usual. I'm not
Me
sure.
too.
Like, was there a full moon or something? Like, I
Let me
don't know.
see. Let me see. Let me look it up.
Well, the strawberry moon happened a few days ago.
Yeah, like Monday or Tuesday, right?
And that could be part of it, but man, oh man, I haven't even talked about this. I seen the most ships that I've seen at one time. Um, when did I do the interview with uh Brad Olson? A few days ago. Whatever, it doesn't matter. A few days ago, I did an interview with Brad Olson. Afterwards, I went outside, rolled a joint, went outside. It was like really nice out. The temperature was amazing. It was like 68 degrees, no clouds in the sky. I was like perfect time. Just step away from my house, and here in the San Luis Valley, you can it's it's prime, star viewing area, and just walk outside. And I seen this ship. I seen a flash, and it caught my attention to view at one point in the sky. I saw another flash, and then I saw a line light up. It was a line like
Like a line
in the sky. Yeah, vertical line, not horizontal. It was just small, like much. So it was basically letting me know it wasn't a star, And I'm sitting there watching it pop just on and off, on and off. And I'm thinking about it like, oh, this is what I was thinking when I went outside and lit the joint. I went outside and lit the joint, and man, that was a really good interview with Brad. Like we really got into some shit, And I was like, I wonder, and I was just thinking, I was like, I wonder how many people it broadcast to. I wonder how many people's gonna watch it. And then I was like, I know they can hear it. I'm like, show me something if you guys know, if you guys can hear like my show, show me something. And I was like, it's been a while since I've seen something. Give me something to keep going, the eagle's nest going. Let me know you can hear the eagle's nest. Pop, 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 pop. I get it, and I was like right by the greenhouse. I had some binoculars, so I always have them out there. I pulled them up and looked, and as I'm looking up at this pop, there's just ships like going, like there's a ship going past. I'm like, oh, that's a satellite, and it does like a hook turn and takes off. And I'm just, oh my God, I look up, and I'm scanning just in the area where this popping is, and there's just ships all over. I take my binoculars away. I look up, and with my naked eye, they're just all over. And I'm just, I was kind of scared to go sleep at night. Like I was like, what is about to happen? is amazing, you know, and that's not the first time my consciousness has interacted with with stuff in the sky, but that was definitely I don't know, it's just a real pure request to see something and see if it was if they could hear my show, and man, so they're listening. Shout out, guys! Like,
Shout out to y'all out there in the sky. No, and I think that's what's really cool is when people like to have these experiences where you can communicate with them and have them say something back or show that they're intelligent and that they're hearing what you're saying. I think that's like just the craziest thing in the world.
yeah, I have a what and so Gigi, you said your dreams have been lucid over the past 3 days. Have you had any other experiences? Have you been feeling anything different?
Not really. A little bit more motivation than usual. I'm usually a pretty lazy individual, and I don't know, got a lot of extra.
And a very honest one at that.
Yeah, and I got a lot of bullshit stuff done that I've been putting off for a while. Had one of those week. I don't know. Maybe it's spring cleaning or whatever. Wait, is it summer yet? Not
Yeah.
quite.
No, 2 more
Oh, it's
days.
not yet. Oh, I guess.
2 more
Yeah,
days.
it's not
2
quite.
more days. The 21st.
Spring cleaning is still in session, my friend, and I've been doing that. And but yeah, and it's we were talking about this on the show. The who's somebody else. I was on somebody else's show. I can't remember, but anyway, we were talking about how I've had these my whole life. It doesn't happen all the time, but every once in a while, I have a dream that takes place in the same, like what I can only describe as a fictional town that only exists in my dreams. And I have multiple friends in that town that only exist in my dreams, that don't exist in real life. And ever since I was a little kid, like maybe a few times a year, I have a dream in the same place. Like I know where my house is in the dream. I know where my friend's house is in the dream. And then me and my friends in the dream, we have years worth of memories that pop up in the dream. And so yeah, these last few days, I had 2 of the last 3 days, my dreams took place in that place. And it's just very interesting. It's the same town every time I go there. And it's the same people. And it's just really trippy. It's really trippy. But yeah, that's been going on the last few days. Have you ever had that experience, Drew?
Well, one thing I will say that I've been to the same place in dreams that I have been to in ceremony before. So I know the two are connected in that sense.
Okay.
That being said, I don't have that place like personally, but I do know there is places that are shared by other people, like that like the crystal. There's a crystal planet, which is like the altar for the whole universe, and in the center of that planet, there's supposed to be a crystal town that where that center of that town is really the center of the whole universe. So everything, and this is a place that's a vision or dream space that's shared by several. But I've I've heard of places that your own particular conscious construct has created this area that has set aside areas so it can deal with certain projects, or whatever you're doing. I'm guessing like you're working on projects that you don't even realize you're working on at this point, or maybe you have some clue but you don't have the full understanding of who knows.
Yeah, it kind of reminds me of how the whole MAPS program out there in the UK or England or wherever that is. They're literally doing DMT experiments with people and sending them out there to quite literally geograph the locations that they end up in.
Yeah.
And they're trying to map out the DMT realm, which I think is so awesome. It's very fascinating. And it's even more amazing that they actually got funding to do that.
Yeah.
Insane.
I think the way to do it is through extended DMT states, where maybe they have like a DMT IV, where it holds a certain amount of DMT and it allows you to stay in this space comfortably. The thing with DMT, it's so borderline. You can go past your mark. You know, if you're shooting for a specific area, because really, I predict when they finally do come out with these studies, it's good. We're gonna come. The coordinates of these spaces are gonna be in the form of megahertz as far as frequency and vibration. That's and not latitude, longitude, or anything like that, or areas in space. I think when they do finally come out, this is my prediction. It's going to be in megahertz. That's going to be the address for these spaces in the realm, and it's going to be a certain frequency.
Wow, I never thought about it like that. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Makes a lot of sense.
Well, outside of 3D, like we're not. It's hard. That's why this area we're moving into as a species, as a human species going through this evolutionary process, we have to let go of a lot of programming to be able to make room for a new baseline. That's my personal belief and what
Yeah.
I've seen in ceremonies and stuff. It's yeah, there's God. I'm so itching to tell everybody about this.
You got
This
something, huh?
Yeah, it's just so. There's a couple big things. There's a couple huge things that's about to come out, and
Yay.
a project that I'm working on. Yeah, it's just two really huge things that I can't wait, but it's gonna be awesome.
Congratulations. Can't wait to hear what they are.
Yeah, it's I'm got involved in the early stage of a project that's gonna be really groundbreaking. We're gonna touch on a subject that most people don't touch on. So
Beautiful. Yeah. Yeah. Just abide by the Hollywood curse rule and don't say anything until
Can't
it's,
say anything.
happening.
Can't say shit until it's happening.
Yeah.
That's why I'm like,
Nope.
don't say shit.
I can be excited, but that's about it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Don't say shit. That's the rule.
Yeah. Yeah. It's just everything about, I think, I was talking about it with Brad or with someone else about how my son is just such a teacher, a spiritual teacher, so much already. He's teaching me how to be in the moment and and he's realigning myself. It's everything that we learn. It takes 2 weeks to unlearn it. The process. Well, my son's like 21 weeks and some days now, so but I've been blissed out every day, and felt deep love every day and gratitude and lived in the moment more every day, and just repeatedly go in this process of every day feeling this. And now it's starting to ingrain in my body, and now it's starting to exude out as as my consciousness manifests. And it's not even coherent manifestation. It's subconscious manifestation that is just being done by my higher self, and it's just creating these starting to create these miracles popping up. It's just amazing. So
You can see it. There is an energy about you now that is very bright and fresh.
I'm on fire.
Growing.
Inside I'm on fire. Like there's so much happening. Like, and just so much that I can't even articulate right now. Like I can't even articulate like some of the things that's going on with me. Like not even projects in the 3D. Like things that are going on with me, evolving into this thing I'm doing. It's just I'm on fire right now, and it's just amazing time.
You are, and you're kicking ass, with the Eagles Nest. I see that you're, starting to do more dates, starting to do more shows, and yeah, you are on fire.
I just had too many people. Yeah, I just had too many people. But I'm not here to promote my show so much. What about Shift Happens and the Jess Rogge show, dude? Jess,
Yes.
this is what you've been waiting on for so long.
Oh
You've been
my
praying
god.
for it, asking for it. You deserve it. Like,
You're gonna make me
and
cry.
you went through so many different name changes. Like, I'm surprised you didn't have a Britney moment and shave your head and just do
I
all that.
know.
But
I know.
now you're at like what we all saw the name of your show is all along. It's just the Jess Rogge show. Like, you're deserving of having the name of it yourself. Like, tell
Wait,
us about
so
your show.
Yeah.
hold on.
Wait.
So you're changing you're not using Escape the Simulation?
No.
Escape the
No.
Simulation lasted from I think February until June. It was a nice name for a show, but it is gone. We are now the Jess Rogge Show. I'm not
No.
changing it anymore unless I change my name.
Yeah, don't change it again. Don't change
No,
it
it's
again.
done.
It
I
will-
feel really
Yeah.
bad. One guy was like, well, at least my Rogge Report tattoo is somewhat relevant now. And I was like, I really hope you're joking. I really hope so, because I feel really bad. I hope nobody gets the Escape the Simulation tattoo either.
Oh
So
man.
is your first late night show date, is that still tomorrow?
Tomorrow night.
Yeah.
I'm
right.
freaking nervous.
All right.
But yeah, I've been praying for this. This has been like a long-term manifestation thing for longer than I would even want to say. But it's just, it's been a lot of hard work. So I'm really excited. I'm going to be on 5 nights a week, Monday through Friday, from 11 p.m. Pacific to 1 a.m. Oh, what is it? 1 a.m. Yeah, 1 a.m. Pacific. And yeah, we're starting this week. This week I have Joe Root coming on Monday. Tuesday I have a very special surprise guest. Wednesday I have Alex Exum. Thursday I have, I think his name is Dr. Scott Taylor. He's an NDE specialist. And then Friday we're doing open lines. And then the following Monday we got Drew Banky. And then on Tuesday we got Gigi and JP joining me. So we got all the friends coming. It's going to be so much fun. I'm so excited. We take live calls. It's going to be like coast to coast in that sense. Unscreened calls, guests, just a lot of fun.
Yeah, and just to fill people in who might not know exactly what the hell we're talking about.
Thank you, Gigi.
We had, the Fringe FM had somebody left the network who did the late night spots, and Joe Roop, the guy that runs the network, he was, trying to figure out, well, who the hell is going to fill that spot? And Jess Rogge stood up to the plate.
I was like, hey, how about me?
And she got the spot, which is it's a pretty big deal. It's a pretty big spot. I mean, 5 nights a week. That's just insaneness. But I think you can do it. You've got it, Jess. I think you're the best candidate for that spot. So yeah, it's going to be awesome. It's going to be
awesome. It's going to be awesome. I hope it's going to be awesome. I've been sitting here stressed out about it since I found out about it. And like every day I work on it. But yesterday I just finally like cut all the opening music, cut all my commercials together, getting all my notes together for the guests. Because before I was doing 1 night a week. So this is like what I think Gigi and JP were saying, like I'm increasing this production by 400%. So it's like, whoa.
Yeah. Yeah, when you think about it that way, it might be a little daunting, but
that's the only thing I'm like 100% more, Jess. It's 4 more guests a week. 4 more graphics, 4 more making sure. Yeah, I know. It's okay. I got it.
Yeah, you got this. You got it.
That's a lot. That's a full-time job now, Jess. But that's what you asked for. Like, I heard you say it personally a few times. Like, I just want a show. I just want a full-time show. I just want a full-time. Well, you got it. Like, you got it.
Drew knows. Drew's heard it.
Yeah, and but I think that's a great testament, to what's going on right now, Jess. Like, doors open up, and we're so programmed to not see them that a lot of us are missing the doors opening up right in our face, and then they close, and
Yep.
then it opens up for somebody else. And we have to learn. We have to first fall in love with ourselves, so when those doors open up, we know that we're worthy to walk through them. And I think that's what we need to focus on right now. Not fixing anyone, not healing anyone else. Like I don't. I never think of myself as a healer or anything like that with my medicine work and things like that. Like it's all about like helping other people, raise to the vibration to heal themselves. And that's I think right now, like what we need to focus on is loving ourselves. So when the door opens up, we know that we're allowed and worthy enough to step through that door, no matter what it is. And yeah, I think maybe this is your moment. Like maybe we're gonna be seeing Jess on Rogan in a few. In a, this is a funny thing that every time that you like one of my posts, at first I see Joe Rogan because it says Jess Rogge,
Okay.
and
Oh,
I just like it glances and I'm like, oh man, Joe Rogan just
no.
likes no, it's Jess Rogan. Still
Joe Rogan.
awesome, but
If I
you're like
shave my head, maybe
you
I'll
might,
look a little more like him.
dude, you might be the female version of Rogan. Who knows?
Sorry for the F-bomb, but no, I mean, wouldn't that be, it's like right now I had prayed and wanted this for so long. I was like, I just needed to get here. And now that I'm here, I just feel like I have to kick ass. And I'm really excited. Oh, thank you, Tommy G. Speaking of kicking ass.
I know.
So, Gigi, what's going on with Shift Happens? By the way, if people don't know my brother Gigi, he is the host of Shift Happens along with JP, and Brad Harris is the producer over there. All good friends of mine. I personally blazed down with my brother Gigi right here in
Nice.
Nevada, and
Yeah.
and Brad, and yeah, so yeah, we're just much more than business associates. Definitely Gigi's a good friend of mine. What's going on with Shift Happen, brother?
Man, we've had a bunch of solid shows lately, and just been doing our thing. I'm happy right where I'm at, and we should be having. He's not sure if he's available yet, but if not this Friday or next Friday, we're gonna have Billy Carson back on to talk about his new documentary, the Black Knight Satellite documentary. Which, if you haven't seen that yet, it's very much worth watching. It's over there on forbiddenknowledge.tv. That's the number 4, biddenknowledge.tv. And yeah, it's really sick, man. I'm so proud of, dude. Billy might be the hardest working dude in this business. He has so many different things going on. It's unbelievable. And so yeah, looking forward to that. And yeah, that's about it, man. Just kind of keeping the same boogie, keeping the boogie up, and just maintaining, And
What
we had a really cool show with Michael Strange also from the Fringe FM, like all of us, or me and Jess rather. And yeah, man, I'll tell you what. If you guys want to check out a cool show, check out Troubled Minds Radio with Michael Strange, Monday through Thursday at 7 Pacific on the Fringe FM. He has this really interesting format where he doesn't have guests. He picks a topic and he rambles about it for about the first segment. And then the second 2 hours, he has this whole horde of Troubled Minds Radio fans that call in and chime in on the subject. And then after the show, everybody hangs out in this after party voice chat situation. So Monday through Thursday, if you're bored at night, you just go to Michael Strange's Discord channel. And that's where I've been hanging out from Monday through Thursday. And very cool stuff. But yeah, we had a pretty good show. And yeah, looking forward to Billy Carson. We may or may not be having well, we will be having Michael Cremo back on pretty soon, but it might be a little bit later. Dude's busy. He's also kind of old.
You gotta get the old dudes though. You gotta make sure you get the old dudes booked.
So late nights on Friday nights. Well, it's because I think I don't know. Yeah, well, it depends on where he is. He's all over the place, but yeah, that's about it. That's all we got going on, and yeah, it's been good. No complaints, and I certainly did not sign up. Did not throw my hat in the ring for the late night spot because I don't think I could do it.
Well, thank you. I guess that made it. I don't know if anybody else did, but I'm glad I got it. But
I'm at least not willing to do it. I
willing to do the work.
I like where I'm at right now. I like our audience. I like our regular audience. I like the Friday night spot. Like, dude, we have I got so lucky to get the best spot of the week. Friday nights at 7.
That's a good one. You don't have to compete with Jimmy. Like it's prime time.
Yeah,
that's good.
Yeah, there's nobody else that does a show at that time on Friday, so at least not right now. So hopefully it stays that way. But we'll see. Yeah, it's going good, man. It's going good.
Yeah, I mean, I did the whole Onyx thing for a few shows, and it was it just wasn't right. So we all separated on good terms and everything. But it's I think I'm just gonna keep it like this, and just rock it like just how it is, man. Just a YouTube channel, just my Facebook, just that's it, and just keep it simple.
Because get your own sponsors like you've already done, and just build up the sponsor repertoire and keep doing your own thing. Because that way you don't have to cut the commercial break right now. And
I don't like any of it, and not talking anything about people that are on networks and stuff. I could just tell the difference from my demeanor and stuff. Watch when I do replay the videos and stuff and listen to them. Definitely listen to Kevin Day's interview again. Man, that was an amazing interview, man.
That's an awesome get. Yeah.
It just some of the stuff that he said, man, is just hearing it. I've heard it before, but hearing it from him, just amazing. It's just amazing thing for him to witness, and just I can't imagine, but seeing it for it happening, when he is in the military and stuff, just amazing. But yeah, it's just I don't think I'm able to get some interesting guests without anything else. So yeah, especially you guys, man. I love hanging. Like one of my two favorite people to talk to, man. Me and Gigi's. I've been guest host on your show a few times. It just been on your show a few times, and it's just we always have a comfortable conversation. So it's just awesome.
Yeah. Oh, by the way, did you have I thought I heard. Did you have Joel Lambert on your show at one point?
I did.
Nice, man. I love that guy. That guy.
Yeah. Navy SEAL, healed through sacred ceremonies, and is the hippie warrior now, and just the story. The same story goes with so many people, and I have friends that's ex special forces and Green Berets, like in the Army and Navy SEALs and stuff like that, and I've known a few of them and tons of other military, regular military that's been through these ceremonies, and to hear, Joel has such an exquisite way to tell his story.
Yes.
It's the same every time. So I've heard it a few times, and when I knew what was going to be delivered on my show, and when you have people like that on, it's just so easy, just to let it fly,
Yeah, and thanks again for hooking them up for our show, because in my opinion, that was like easily one of the top 5 shows
That was
we've
a
ever
good
done
show.
over the last 5.5 years, you know, and that dude was legit. And man, I can't wait to figure out a way, because, you know, we've talked before, you know, I've got my issues as well. And so I'm definitely overdue for, you know, for some ritual ceremonies. And I very much look forward to that at some point in hopefully the near future.
Yeah, man, we're in the middle of gonna be relocating soon. We're selling the place and trying to figure out. North Carolina keeps coming up a lot, so it looks like North Carolina might be where we're heading after this. But yeah, we need trees. We need rain. It's funny now. It's monsoon season. It's been raining like nonstop the past 2 days. So, but that only lasts a few weeks. But yeah, we need greener. We need and we can't afford to get greener in Colorado. Yeah, any time in the trees or in the mountains here, you go up hundreds of thousands of dollars. So
But that's going to be a fun adventure to move and like change the environment and start fresh somewhere else.
yeah, it's time. This place. Once we found out that Hawk was coming, we knew we was going to be relocating. We was either going to have to add on here or relocate, and windy season came, and that we kind of made our decision during
You're
the
like,
windy season. I got Jason Quitt in the chat room, but he's not joined in yet. I hope he can join in a minute. Yeah, it's just amazing time. Some of the properties that we've been looking at. We looked at. This is a funny story. So we were like, we told my stepdaughter Alyssa, we was like, go. We was like, we don't know where we're gonna move to. We just start looking for a place, and if you find some cool places, like let us know. So she went straight to Hawaii. She started looking at Hawaii, and she found like a couple $100, couple, maybe like $200-300 range, $100,000 range properties on the Big Island. So we was like, man, this should be amazing to go live in the Big Island, And we after about couple hours or a half a day really of contemplating it. Hold on, I'm gonna finish the story and bring Jason Quitt in. I think he's wearing a suit, y'all.
oh wow,
I think he's wearing a suit.
Should I go get a suit?
We might have to go change. I'm not sure.
I'll go get a
But
jacket
but
and put one
but
on.
but real quick, after about a half a day, we was like, man, why is this stuff so cheap? We started. It was in the lava flow area.
Oh
So
no!
every 19 years, this volcano erupts and covers the land and all this stuff. So it's the only land that normal people could really afford it on the Big Island, unless you hit the lottery or something. But we got Jason Quick coming into the party, guys, and he is dressed to impress. So we ain't gonna make him wait any longer. There he is. There he is, y'all. Jason Quitt, the one and only.
I'm
What?
overdressed for this. What
You're
the hell?
way overdressed. I needed to put a jacket on real quick.
Usually Gigi's dressed like this.
He normally
Maybe without the tie, perhaps.
Okay.
I
I was out and I ran back and I promised I'd be here, so I didn't have a chance to change. So this is what I look like on a Sunday night.
Oh, fancy.
Fancy.
That's all right, man. You're pretty dapper. Man, I can't believe you don't have a pipe with you. Like the whole ensemble, like it deserves. There it is. The whole ensemble, right there. It is, guys.
It's just the problem is with these pipes is you got to clean them. It takes time and effort, and then I gotta get some special stuff and put it in there, and it's hard.
Yeah, I just buy new ones.
La-di-da, man. that radio show is pretty good, eh? You can buy a pipe every night.
Well, buy a new pipe. I'm talking about, like a $12 pipe.
Oh, still.
Not one of those fancy grandpa pipes like you have.
Oh. All right.
So Jason, welcome again to the Eagles Nest podcast. I just had you on a few weeks ago.
Yes.
Thanks for coming on and joining this little party we got going on tonight. We haven't really talked about anything important except for my dreads, and what we're gonna do with them. Either auction them or NFTs or make them into NFTs or whatever. But you come on with this outfit and you're gonna have to like release some new information that none of us has ever heard before. Like, did they actually find the body of Osiris or something? Like, you gotta tell us.
Okay. The only. All
No
right.
pressure.
Wait
No-
a second. Well,
no pressure.
Well, the thing is that I don't believe that they were physical gods walking the earth. You know, I believe that they were stories or characters made up by universal laws. That's what I believe. I mean, there's pharaohs and all these things, and they've manifested in, I would say, archetypes, because I've had journeys with all, you know, with Thoth, Osiris. But for me, I think, I don't know if it's like an archetype. I don't know if they actually walked the earth. They may have walked the earth in pharaohs, as in a spirit or a universal force of them stepped into a physical body, like a channeling. But okay, I'll go back to this other story. Is with okay, this is a little hard because it's weird, and I've probably told the story in the past, but I had this experience once where I came in contact with reptilians, right? And it was very strange because, you know, you're in astral projection, I was taken, and it was almost like you're put into this kind of matrix scenario. So it's like I was brought into a room, and then there was three different reptilian beings. One was like, you know, standing upright, and the other two were like, they looked like little Godzillas. You know, they had tails and very kind of dinosaur-like. And it was a very strange experience because, you know, you automatically think these are like the evil guys. You know, this is like what all the conspiracy people talk about, is these type of beings. And I got to talk to them, and I said, okay, well, where are you from? And they said, you know, we're from what you would consider like the constellation Sagittarius. Never heard of that before. Then they said they came to give me a message, and I said, what was that? And they said, you're searching for Akhenaten, right? And at the time, this was like back in the day when I was just putting together the Egyptian posture stuff. And I said, yeah, okay, tell me about Akhenaten. And they said that his body was discovered in like around the 1920s, and that it was taken to Rome. So immediately I thought, okay, the Vatican has this and is hiding it. And that was my experience with the reptilians, is like, they just wanted to tell me that Akhenaten's body was found.
Mm-hmm.
What is that?
Which is an aspect of Osiris.
Right. And like, I know you're going to read my book soon, but there was this journey with Osiris that I took where, well, it wasn't with Osiris, it was with Thoth. And Thoth is taking me through this initiation thing, and I'm going through the temple, and we come into this room, and there's a coffin, and inside the coffin is Osiris. And as I looked down into the coffin, like, I knew immediately it was Osiris. Like, just the name popped right in my mind. And it was a human body, but the head was a bull. And I'm like examining this body, and I was trying to figure out if it was like a real head or a mask or sewn on or something, but I couldn't see any cut marks or anything. It looked like a human body with a bull's head. Looked completely preserved, no decay, no nothing. And the thing that was really messed up about this was that he was missing his legs. So he had no leg from the knee down. And that always bothered me because, I hear the story of Osiris and Set, they cut him up into pieces, but his body was intact. The only thing that was missing was his legs. And in the book, I started writing about some messages that were coming to me about Osiris. And it's that when Osiris is slumbering in the underworld, his feet are walking in the physical world. His legs are here, and we're his legs. So we're all copies or versions of Osiris experiencing life, walking the earth. And that was kind of symbolic in him missing his legs in the underworld because we're all here. And then when we die, his legs go back to him and he awakens in the underworld. And it's kind of like this cycle. So we're all this kind of aspect of Osiris, just like you said, Akhenaten is.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's my weirdness, my experience.
So, do you think thought is an aspect of Osiris as well? Because they're different periods.
He was more like a guide, and the way that he came in, or what he looked like an old man wearing kind of like just like a monk's getup, like almost like a Tibetan monk. But he looked like he was covered in like red, like his skin was red. That's all I can say. He was just like an old man. His skin was all covered in red. And he would just with Thoth, it was always like a telepathic thing, but he'd always be praying. So it's like if we're walking down the halls, like he's kind of doing mantras and you could hear the mantras kind of like going through the hallways. And then he speaks to you like through the mind. And that's how I experienced him. So he didn't have like an ibis head or anything like that. He just looked like this old man with red skin. But he was taking me through the journey originally with that Osiris thing. So, and again, Egypt is we don't really know exactly how old it is. We can say 3,000 years. We could even say 5,000 plus. It can go back.
Yes. There's so many different variables in play there that it's hard to even put a timeline on it at all. But man, it's crazy. Jess, you got any experiences with Egypt?
Did I share that one time? I had an experience maybe sometime last year where I was feeling ill, and I laid down and did a little meditation, and this beautiful, colorful rainbow face of a lion-headed woman popped in, and I believe I looked it up later, but she said who she was in the vision and all that, but it was a Sekhmet, I believe, and after looking her up, she is a goddess of healing. So when I was feeling ill, she came to see me.
I think me and you did talk about that before. Yeah.
Yes.
Man, it's just the Egypt thing. It's always Jason knows my obsession with Egypt. That I've sent him messages back and forth talking about little things here and there all the time. It's yeah, and I got that channeling of Osiris that I'm gonna be releasing soon.
Sweet.
It may be part of a much bigger project, but yeah.
And when you went over
yes.
that channeling with me during our interview, there was things in that channeling that only a person that's studying the ancient texts would know. And I forget exactly what that was, but there was a couple things that came out in that channeling that was very specific.
Yeah, well, the son of Ra, how he was a product, his hybridization, and even named in the channeling. It even named that his father was from Earth, his mother was from the stars, Osiris, and now he resides in the middle star in Orion's belt.
Yeah.
So when you talk about constellations and consciousnesses residing in constellations, man, it definitely raised the hair up on the back of my neck when I hear it. But that whole channeling had validity for years until recently, until I started getting into the Emerald Tat. Well, until had Billy on the show. I had Billy on the show maybe 2 months ago or so, and then I looked up the Emerald tablets on YouTube and just listened to them like a replay of them. And man, it it really hit me at the end of the 12th tablet. It talks about if you want to recall me. As I was channeling Osiris at the end of the channeling, my wife asked Osiris through me, says, if you want to, how do we call him back? How do we call you back? Like if we want you to talk through Drew again, or if we want to talk to you again, information, whatever. Said, just say my name 3 times. And that's almost verbatim what it says at the end of tablet 12. What thought talks about on how to bring back, this consciousness, this information. It's just it's really profound and kind of freaky, to tell you the truth.
Well, there's a story that maybe we'll put this in a little perspective, because Thoth was around before Osiris. According to ancient stories, basically what you're saying was his father was the earth, his mother was the sky. That's his father was Geb, and his mother is Nut, is what that was. And Shu is, the air and the moisture which separates them. It's kind of like the atmosphere. And Ra wanted Nut and Geb to be separate. He was very jealous, and he didn't want any children from them because they were basically brother and sister, right? And so they basically, Nut spoke to Thoth and said, we really want to, have children, but we can't because Ra separates us. And the year back then was 360 days. That's how they calculated the year. And Thoth says, okay, well, I'm going to have a game with Ra, and if I win, we'll see how this will give you children. And basically, Thoth is very smart. He knew he would win the game. It's called Senet. He was going to win this game. And when he won the game, Ra asked him what he wanted, and he says he wanted 5 extra days of the year. And remember, Thoth is actually the moon. All right, so it went from like a 360-day calendar to a 365-day calendar, which is a solar calendar. So they knew about the calendars, way back when. So the earliest stories are about calendars. So then in those 5 days, Nut and Geb were not under the spell of Ra. So in those 5 days, you can give birth to Osiris and Isis and all those things. So that's how creation started. It was actually, or what they said, one of the stories is with Thoth playing a game against Ra. And, this all goes back to the calendar, resurrection, birth, and life. It has to do with this thing with Thoth, who is actually the moon, or tied in with the moon. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I don't know if you knew that story. I don't know.
I didn't know that story, but see, this channeling that I might release, it talks about, it wasn't like an Osiris channeling. It started off as, like I told you, Jason, when I had you on the show, my first vision was me being the Wachuma cactus. And then I went through a life as I was on a ship. I was harpooning whales on a ship. Mm-hmm. Then I went into another lifetime, dimensional field, where I just found myself on this. And I was going through these visions, and it was kind of like a QHHT thing. I was like, I was going through this vision, and like me harpooning the whales. Like I was feeling, I felt like all the emotional damage and trauma. It was energetically. I was going through it physically. I was seeing it physically, like I was there. But I was feeling was I was processing everything, and what why I actually knew why I was having this vision, you know, like I was away from my family, but I was having to sell my, you know, sell my soul to keep my family fed and all this stuff. And it was closely related to me, how what Drew was going through. So I was able to equate that in this situation. As soon as I was equated, I go to another lifetime or dimensional field. The next, like one of the, I popped in. I don't remember how many exactly are on there, but I do know like it got weird when I found myself in a submarine, and I don't know where I was at. I was on Earth somewhere. Uh, some time frame. I feel like I was a German in a German sub, and I was about to detonate this. I was the person that was kind of pressed a button to detonate it. Like I knew there's a nuclear bomb or something on it. So it was like a suicide mission. I knew it. But we were pulling up to this huge door, like a huge alien base door that was underwater. And I was about to hit the button. As soon as right before I hit the button, I blinked my eyes, and I was standing on this dry dock on this planet, looking out into just stars and everything. Like I wasn't wearing a respirator or anything, but it was like all open and we could breathe. And but the submarine was sitting there, and all the crew was outside, and it was just like teleported like that. And these beings come walking up to us and said that they had to like change the way our mind is and change like our energy and all this stuff. And my person that was handling me was a female of these beings, and we end up over time forming a relationship and having a child. And I went through this whole vision in this channeling, and when it said where's the child at, and said the child went to Earth, and said what's the child's name. Child's name's Osiris. So I went through, I saw, like, from what I perceive is the birthing process and how Osiris was made. Like it's creepy to tell you the truth. It freaks me out to tell you the truth, but it's awesome.
No, I love it, and it reminds me of the whole shamanic journey, and that's what basically the most ancient religions is the shamanic journey. Um, and I spoke to you before about how Osiris was basically the original green man, where he was the vegetation, he was the sacred plants, he was the sacred medicine. So if you were going to take a plant and ingest it, you were taking the body of Osiris. I mean, where does that sound familiar today, right? So you would take the body of Osiris or the blood of Osiris, which is just plants, the medicine. And because he was part of the dead, it would show you your past lives. And usually what these experiences would do is, like you were saying, is it's showing you these past lives that I think were relevant to your situation in this life, or maybe you're reliving the same type of patterns that these other lives before you you've taken into this life. And what Osiris is showing you is that you've had these experiences, you've learned from it. It's time to integrate and process it now, so Drew could move forward now in the new body that Osiris is now showing you. You know, when you're looking at the afterlife in Osiris in ancient Egypt, it was all about purification. Honestly, when you're going through death and you're passing through the gates, you know, this is like the original hell. You know, you're going into the lakes of fire and things like that. But it wasn't like the hell that we're taught. It's the lake of fire it's like purification ritual, as in you're burning off the attachments or energies that you're carrying with you in the life that's holding you back from moving through the gates. And you can't pass through the gates until you remove those energies from you. So that's kind of like the original version of hell. And when you get through the 12 gates, which is the 12 hours of the nighttime, you're reborn again as Horus, the child's sun in the eastern sky. And yes, exactly. That's where it comes from.
Yeah, it's a crazy time we're going into, man. It really is. I just, I can't say it enough that it's an understatement to even articulate it in verbal words. How how much I feel that this is such a sacred time that we're living through. And such a biblical and such a there's over 20 something different native prophecies that are playing out right now, as well as pretty much every biblical or spiritual text that was ever written lays out and describes exactly what we're living through in this current timeline right now. If you can't feel that and take a grasp that we're in this moment, that's gonna probably go down in history as one of the most precedented times in human evolution. Just you just need to take a breath and just be in it. That's Renato, my plant teacher, the one that taught me a lot about Wachuma and San Pedro and stuff. And all plant, all ceremonies really, and taught me about just energy work. That's one of the things he said. One of the best advice that he ever gave me was just take a deep breath and just be in the moment, and understand that these ceremonies are bleeding over into the 3D dimensional field, and they're all becoming one. We're seeing it. I'm seeing it more and more every day, and it's once I accepted it, now it's just amazing time, man. Gigi, are you sleeping? What's up over there? What do you got
No.
to say? What do you got to say about all this? And I just want to say one thing before. I'm sorry to interrupt you. We bring Jason on in a suit, and this is what we get into immediately, guys. We get deep, we get deep in we get deep into energetic. I knew it was going to go Egypt as soon as he jumps in, as it has to. But what's your experience on Egypt? You have over 200 guests, well over 200 guests that's been on Shift Happens. I'm sure Egypt's come up
No.
at least 2 times.
Oh yes, quite a several, and we've had Jason on there a few times as well, and we've got into a lot of this as well. But one question I do have for Jason is, what do you? All right, where do I start with this? What do you make about people like, John Anthony West, Robert Duvall, and Robert Schoch, right? And their whole idea of, more specifically, Robert Schoch, in his analysis of the Sphinx, saying that, hey, there's some serious water erosion on this thing, and the last time that there could have been water erosion like that would have been before the last ice age, which predates the Egyptians by what, 7, 8, 9,000 years. Do you subscribe to that? Because that kind of changes everything.
Yes, I do subscribe to that, and I'll tell you why. There is historical evidence that there has been not one but multiple floods. Some of them were quite huge, going back 20 to 100,000 years in that area. There was a group from the University of Columbia, I believe. They found that there was a big flood around 7,000 years, between 7,000 to 9,000 years, which fits Robert Schoch's idea that there was water erosion. And if you go to ancient Babylonian texts, especially the Epic of Gilgamesh, which this is where we get the story of Noah from, and the Great Flood, it talked about the Anunnaki and those that were there before. And I guess, Anunnaki, Atlantis, take your pick. But basically they said, look at the structures of the buildings and then look at the stones underneath them. So kind of like the foundation stones, which are the massive blocks and stones. And they say there is your evidence of before the world was flooded and you were saved. So they talk about this world in the ancient Babylonian texts or ancient Sumerian texts about this kind of world of the gods before the flood. So
Right.
if you're looking at ancient structures, let's say like pyramid sites or ancient temples or sphinxes, there could be remnants of a older civilization there. And when the Egyptians did come afterwards, just like a lot of cultures came afterwards, they found these ancient sites. They didn't build them, but they took them as their own and they built upon them.
That's what I was going to say. That's what I was going to ask. Do you think that the Egyptians that you talk about in your books and that we've been talking about all night here with you, do you think they're the ones that actually built those things, or do you think that they just stumbled across them and said, "Hey, here's our new spot," and then they started, for lack of a better term, graffitiing over the walls with all of their stories and all of their legends and all of their spirituality lessons? What do you think about that?
I would say both of those things happened. You see a lot of temple sites where they're built from the ruins of something else. So by like taking apart a newer temple, they realize this is from a more ancient temple. And, for some reason it was cheaper to just get old bricks and then redo a temple. So
Yeah.
I think there's both pointing to that. And if you look at like channelings as well, which I think, is relevant to a certain degree. Edgar Cayce always talked about the fall of Atlantis and a time before Egypt. And Edgar Cayce always spoke about how Egypt was kind of like a city center or an outpost of Atlantis. And that when Atlantis fell, many of those people went to Egypt because there was already something set up there, and then eventually it was taken into the Egyptians. Now, there's lots of evidence there of say Neolithic cattle culture, or there's statues and there's nothing, and then suddenly there's Egypt. Right. So they say, okay, it went from like this Neolithic shaman society, which basically worshipped bulls and cows, which, that's obvious for most people that, cows and bulls are basically the food and the workhorses of civilization. Without them, you wouldn't be able to build civilization. So you get from that culture to now Egypt. And they say, well, it was those ancient cultures, the shamanic nomadic tribes in that area in Africa, that developed this over the course of hundreds, thousands of years, and they built Egypt. I think it's both. I think they built it, they discovered it, and I believe that there was ancient ruins there to start with. And so
who exactly do you think? Plus there's Göbekli Tepe, which was buried, intentionally buried 12,000 years ago. God knows how long that site was there before they intentionally buried it. That shift could have been there for thousands of years before that. So I guess my question is, in your best guesstimate, in your opinion, Jason, who exactly built the pyramids? If it wasn't the Egyptians that we know today, do we have any clues as to who built those? Were they the same people that built Göbekli Tepe? Because it's not too far off. It's a little ways off, but not too far.
I would say the Egyptians did build most of what we see. So it came into like the later period. But I do also, in the same breath, believe that there was a culture before them that used that area and did build temple sites. And they just built on top of them or used the stones or used that knowledge. Who were they? I don't know. This kind of gets into that kind of, ancient aliens type of thing where I would say that I like the idea of Edgar Cayce, where he said basically there was basically humans were animals back then, and there was higher intelligent beings, but they were non-corporeal. They didn't have bodies, so kind of like spirits, and they wanted to have a physical experience, and they started to move in and out of the human bodies so that they can feel and experience what life is. And over time, this is what Edgar Casey says, over time these individuals um, became so enamored with the human experience that they spent more and more time in human bodies. When they first started to come, they could just pop in and out like a spirit. They can come into the body of an animal, have the experience, and pop back out and live their spiritual existence. Very spiritual beings. But the more time that they spent in the bodies that kind of satisfied their desires in the physical world, the harder it was for the spirits to get out of the body. And then there became a point in history where they started to forget that they were this spiritual being. And that is when the spirit got pulled into the animal at birth to experience the physical life. And, that's what Edgar Casey says. I think that's a pretty interesting way of viewing how humans just sort of evolved in that way with the spirit and consciousness. And he said because these beings were very intelligent, they had a lot of knowledge on everything, that originally when this started to happen, they could have built these sites. They could have had extensive knowledge of the universe, which we see in architecture and designs and knowledge passed down. But then, just like everything, over time, it does get lost. So maybe there's a de-evolution from spiritual into matter. And as we're starting to go into the awakening process, we're starting to come back to that knowledge of spirit, where we understand that we're not just a physical body, we live within a physical body. And by having near-death experiences, out-of-body experiences, spiritual experiences, we start to remember that, hey, there's something else out there. There's this spiritual world that we've been disconnected from. But once we take a step into that spiritual world, and I know Drew could confirm this for me. Once you take that step, you go, holy cow, because cows are holy. You go, holy cow, this is more real than I've ever. This is real. This is beyond what I can comprehend in the physical world, and it's not something outside that I'm experiencing. Like, this is my truest form of nature. And then once you come back in your body, you're changed. Like, that's how powerful that experience is. And then you kind of remember that.
Yeah, there's no nonfiction section in the Hall of Records, or the Akashic Records or whatever you want to call it. There's no nonfiction section. And that's one thing that hit me hard, man. I just saw, I was shown a lot of these things that we hold as folklore and stuff like that. Like, it's all like real in a sense, some of it in a very real sense, more than we can even comprehend. I want to touch on two things that you mentioned. One, about the experience. I've done a few ayahuasca ceremonies, as many people know. Like, I've been in several, really, and in each one, I was able to ask at the end of it. I'd ask like one. I was able to get like one question, especially for ceremonies that I run. Like, if I run a ceremony at the end, ayahuasca will come to me and be like, "Hey, one question, whatever it is, I answer it, no holds barred." And I've always really took advantage of that, and over the years, I've took more and more advantage of it. And at one time, I asked like, "What?" And I asked the hard questions at first, like the first couple questions I asked when I was presented with this, and I was actually able to interact. I said, "What is the meaning of life? What are we here to do?" And as always, ayahuasca shows you in like visions. It doesn't like, it hardly ever uses like words or anything. It just show you. But it basically, it told me that the experience is the reason that we're here. We're here to experience every experience we can from every angle possible. So that meaning your soul space is your soul space, like that operates, Jason, Gigi, and Jess and Drew, is part of the main source, but it's separated, and they all have this. They all go through every experience possible. And I was shown the only experience that I was left to experience was full consciousness of source in manifestation and still be separate. That's the experience that I'm going through in this moment. That's what I was here to do. And we're all I think that's to hit the point of evolution, conscious human evolution. I think that we all have to find this balance of being one, but balancing on 2 feet as well. And I really, I've had things where I've stopped by the side of the road and like been on road trips and stopped to take a break and looked out at like this one time I was in Northern California on the way to Shasta to speak. I was traveling from we stopped at the Grand Canyon, I think, on the way there. But anyways, we were going past this amazing area. It wasn't the Grand Canyon, but it was like this amazing like lake, And I'm sitting there with my wife, and we're holding each other, and I told her I loved her, and I just feel like one with everything. I felt my breath connect with the wind. I was like, whoa, it's like, this is like ceremony, I'm starting to feel like ceremony vibe, And I look out across this lake on the other side of the mountain, and I can hear, I don't know how to describe this. It may sound a little crazy, but I can hear my mind taking measurements and snapshot pictures of the environment. Like it's not something told me that this will not be here soon. Like this land feature will not be here, but I could hear my mind taking measurements and digital pictures of each moment and like storing them somewhere. What was it? Oh, the other thing, talking about remnants and how we're starting to, looking up things and finding connections to the past. I asked at ayahuasca one time, what do we do about the trash situation? It's a huge situation of humanity that we have. We're dealing with all this trash, and she showed me a vision of me outside on hikes and walking on hikes, and then coming back with pockets full of trash, from hikes. And she said, "You're taking away from the experience, and you're erasing evidence that your future self might need to correct itself by picking up the trash." And it just took me on a whole nother level, of not like I'm not gonna turn into a litter bug, but I was shown that I spent too much time trying to physically solve a problem that can be solved much more efficiently in other realms, basically, is what it was showing me. Jess, what do you got to say?
Oh, I think her picture is frozen. It looks
Okay.
like.
I thought she was just in shock.
No, I think her picture is frozen.
There's your snapshot of experience, Drew.
She just messaged me. She's gonna jump back in a minute. So
Okay.
And that's the thing, man. It's even, if you listen to Terrence McKenna, who was like pushing the limits of consciousness when he was out there and using plant medicines, at the ends of his life, he started to question. It's like, well, what did all those experiences do for me? So it goes back to this thing where you could have these incredible experiences and you could do plant medicine all the time and have these other experiences. But what does it really do for who you are, where you're going, and what you're going to become? And that comes down to an individual level. So, we could all have the same thing, but all experience it differently. And that's why we're having a unique experience. So, you could have, let's say, an ayahuasca journey that could change your life. You could also have one that kind of puts you back 10 years, because it says, you're going to have a bad trip because there's things you're avoiding. So we're going to take you back. And that's the thing with ayahuasca is when you speak to these shamans, the ayahuasca is in control. You can't control the ayahuasca, and you can't control the experience. And if there's things that you're hiding, it's going to show it to you. And if you don't want to see it, and it's trying to speak with you, you can really have a bad trip. It can really damage you. So, one person can have enlightenment, which whatever that is, right? And another person could have this terrible experience. But the truth is, both are needed.
But both are divine
Yes.
timing.
Yes, absolutely.
I know the medicine is not contained in the bottle. I've experienced this in two separate occasions. Did I tell you this? Did I share the experience when I was cooking medicine in Florida and the vapor come out and turned into a snake before ceremony?
I didn't hear that story, but interesting.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I was me and my wife were sitting there. We were cooking the medicine, getting ready for a ceremony, and I was just singing to the medicine. I had my rattle, and had some sage burning, praying to the medicine and stirring it. And this vapor, it started circling around. It come out, and it started making a form into a snake, and it come around again, and it turned into a face right out of the vapor of the ayahuasca while it was being cooked. And my wife's standing right beside me, and I look over at her, and she's like looking at it. It was a very powerful moment. I just a full on realization that the medicine is not contained in that bottle. And I talk about that all the time, especially now after that experience. But yeah, definitely going into the ceremony, it's not me running the ceremony. It's me holding space, and it's me knowing songs and prayers, and having connections to different spirits, and or whatever you want to call them, different energies, whatever label you want to put on it. But it is known and seen by people, and it's there's people in the chat room that's recently experienced it right now. And it's I don't fully understand it, and I don't think I ever want to fully understand it, because I think that it's some of it's not meant to understand. It's just meant to know that it's there and it's possible.
I would just jump in and say that there is a consciousness, there is a spiritual force that is connected to certain plants. Some are more powerful. Some have very specific jobs tailored to humanity. This could be one of them. And I remember the first time I did it, it affected me for months. And so I was talking to a shaman, and I was having some issues because I found that when I came back from Peru, I was allergic to things. Exactly. As it should flip your shit. That is the purpose. And when I got back from Peru for months, it was like things affected me that never affected me before. And I could be brought right back into ayahuasca territory without doing anything.
Mm-hmm.
It's like I could be in a situation or with friends, and let's say a friend of mine is smoking a joint. And just by having that smell in the air set me off, right?
Yeah.
Right back to ayahuasca. And what the shaman was saying is that this spirit this force that is ayahuasca, it stays with you as a spiritual force, and it works with you in certain scenarios, and it was not done. So this is what I tell people when when you're in high school and your friends are like, let's do some mushrooms, let's do this, let's try that, and you go into that with kind of like this party mindset, like I'm going to go get high or something. That is not what these things are for.
Mm-hmm.
And you have to understand you're taking on a spiritual force,
Mm-hmm.
and it's going to stay with you longer than you think.
Mm-hmm.
And like, you can go back to alcohol. There's a reason they call it spirits,
Mm-hmm.
because each alcohol is a type of spiritual force. And when you get blackout drunk, your body still operates, but you have no control over it. All right. That's not an excuse, but there are many instances where that spirit has completely taken over your body, and you're completely controlled. So you have to be very careful with these things.
Yeah, I totally agree. Man, oh, the other story I want to share before I forget, and you'll love this, Jason. This is another story of me cooking medicine. Again, I was in Florida cooking medicine. We have a big following in Florida. Anytime we go there, we stay busy. But I was cooking medicine again for a different ceremony. I was at my friend's house. They had a pool, and outside they had some friends over. Well, they had their friends that they had over had um, foster children that had special needs. So one of them was blind and autistic. Okay, totally blind and autistic. So they couldn't keep him out in the pool. He wanted to come talk to me. So I was like, sure. He's like 14 years old. I was like, sure, he can sit in here and talk to me. Just sit at the counter, like stay out of the kitchen. He can sit over in the counter, and I can talk to him right there. Well, I went in to get the ayahuasca out of the fridge, and I took it out of the fridge, and he immediately goes, "What's that?" And I said, What are you talking about?" I think I can't remember his name. Maybe, anyways, I think it was Todd. So we're just gonna, for the sake of the conversation, I say it was Todd. So I was like, what are you talking about, Todd?" And he goes, what are you getting out of the fridge? Like, what's in your hands?" And I turned around, and like my back's to him. And I was like, "What do you see?" He's like, "I see a big ball. I see light. I see like a ball of light." And it's like, "How do you know what light looks like?" He's like, "I see light sometimes when people play music and things like that. I see light, but this is just really, really bright light." And he's like, "What is that?" And I'm like, "I don't know, the center of the universe, Todd." Like the best way I could describe it is like to a 14-year-old child. He's like, "Oh, I understand that." Like, it's just having that experience really opened my eyes. Just it it really opened my eyes to what this medicine is, and oh, and getting to the smells and everything. I preach this all the time. Part of the ritual is, so what is ayahuasca? What is the ayahuasca ceremony without all the ceremony, without all the ritual? And depending on where you're at in South America, your ceremony with ayahuasca could look vastly different. The music could be different. The tempo of the music could be different. It could be held by women or men or multiple people. It's different all over there. So, but what is ayahuasca at its center? Ultimately, it's a vibrational medicine that is brought to us to help our human bodies raise to a vibration to access higher realms of understanding or existence. I'm gonna bring Jess back in here real quick. But hey, Jess, welcome back.
Hey, that was weird. That was weird. My whole thing shut off and kicked me out, and I was like, "What the hell?"
Yeah, man, I thought you were just in shock for a moment, but I was like, man, she's if she was in shock this long, she would just passed out and fell over. But But
I was shocked it shut down.
I want
Weird.
to finish this thought right quick.
Please.
The So the ceremony, I preach this at the end of ceremony, or sometimes at the beginning of ceremony. The reason we burn Palo Santo, the reason that sage is burnt, the reason that agua florida is used, and the reason that rattles and guitars and all these different things are used, it's to create breadcrumbs to take us back to that moment when we need to take us back. So when people leave, they're like, common question is like, okay, I've experienced this, I experienced this moment, but how do I get back to it? The way back to it is auditory breadcrumbs, um, you know olfactory breadcrumbs, the five senses breadcrumbs, just like you're doing right now, is taking us back to that moment. And especially within weeks and months of you doing a ceremony, that smell will take you back. And Palo Santo will always take me back. Anytime I smell Palo Santo, it always takes me back. It reminds me of combo ceremonies, because we use it in combo ceremonies a lot to after they purge, to give them something, like a new world to smell. Peyote ceremonies, the cedar brings you back to the peyote ceremonies, because cedar is used in peyote ceremonies heavily. And yeah, it's just but when you break it down, yeah, beautiful. Yeah, but when you break it down, like it we have to trick ourselves back into these things, and that what I've talked about it in the peyote ceremonies. To take a step further, I've talked about it in peyote ceremonies where they've asked me to pray over the water at the end of a ceremony, and I'm so like in a space with peyote, like I just start spitting out like truth outside of the ceremony itself. And like, if we're praying to water, we're praying to ourselves. Like we're tricking ourselves to pray to ourselves when we're praying to water. Because if we're praying to the earth, we're tricking ourselves to pray to we're tricking ourselves into pray to ourselves. Like we are part of the earth. This physical 3D body, we are in this realm in between the spiritual and the physical, and we're borrowing matter from the earth. So we're very much part of the earth in that sense. So yeah, when I don't get asked to pray in big group ceremonies anymore, especially when they have people in there with that's maybe their first ceremony, because you have to the ceremony and the ritual is a big part of the development of getting to where you need to be. But there's a certain point when you have to start releasing that and start looking into to different aspects of it.
See, it all has to do with this kind of approach of perspective or seeing, taking you back to the source of who you are. And you have to kind of strip that all away. So, these plant medicine rituals, their purpose is kind of, get rid of the ego, get rid of the body, silence the mind. You're not in control. And now you're experiencing something that is outside of you or inside of you. And it's the same thing with what you're saying with nature. It's like you are literally the elements. And there's many cultures which in Western society we would think is absolutely disgusting, but they honor the dead, and they dig them up, and have a celebration with them every year. And you get to, because you have to see what the body is and how it's returning to the earth. Like turning, it's gross, thinking about it, but it's like it's just there are certain, the reason I'm bringing this up is because I had this vision that I've never told anybody, and it's late on a Sunday night, so get ready.
Yeah, we got the suit out. We got the suit
right.
out. We're getting brand new shit tonight, guys.
Because it's gross, but it's like
Okay.
I was taken to this. It seemed like a future or another world or something, but it was like I was taken to this kind of, it was almost like this funerary place. And it was very religious. Like there was all these monks around, and there's like these channels. It was almost like these cement channels, and the deceased would be placed there, like sat in these channels. And the family members would go and visit the deceased as they're going through the decaying process. And like the monks, and this is where it gets really disgusting, so please bear with me. The monks there would meditate next to the bodies, and like the maggots and the things that are coming out of the bodies would get on the monks, and it was a way of like showing them that it's like even after death, it's like the body is returning and creating all these different forms. And this is kind of like their religion. And when I was looking at it, I was like, holy crap, this is like so disgusting. But it's not our society. It's not our world. It's a completely different understanding of how the body breaks down into all these multiple things. So that was kind of weird to go through that experience, but it made complete sense to me that it was their religion saying that the body then transforms into all this other life and lives again. You know, that was their type of resurrection. It would join back to the earth in so many different forms. I wouldn't want to do that, but I witnessed that society doing it wherever they were.
Mm-hmm.
Is that too much?
No, it's not too much, man. That's very similar. I'm gonna get Jess and Gigi's thoughts on this in just a moment, but I had a very similar thing happen to me when, because part of the ayahuasca ceremonies you have to go on this dieta and stop eating meat and all this stuff, and I really took it as I was supposed to be. This wasn't a dieta like I was on; it was like my lifestyle. I was supposed to start only ingesting plants and all this stuff, and went like that for a few years until my teacher Renato like talked to me, and he was eating a burger like after ceremony, and I'm like, what are you doing eating a burger? He's like, let me explain something. He's like, when you're part of this path, when you think that you have to eat a certain way or back yourself into a corner of how you live, we're designed, we're programmed to back ourselves into a corner and put stipulations on ourselves and limit ourselves. Even when we get spiritual, we go into this corner and I got to do yoga this time. I can only eat this, and this. So you're actually putting yourself back into other things holding you back from who you really are. If you want to eat a burger, eat a burger. And he's like, when you get to the point of able to eat meat again, you start to understand your true connection to everything. And when I did, like my body, I just realized my body needed certain nutrients that was in meat. And I was like, it just hit me like a ton of bricks one day, like that veganism and things like that. Not to point any fingers or start any uproars right now with any vegans listening or anything like that. But it's, for me, I was shown that it's kind of a step in the process when you get to that point, when you go back to being able to consume things in a healthy manner, not overeating meat, eating meat in a healthy portions, don't go and try to get a t-shirt for eating a 46-ounce steak, and things like that. We've been programmed as a cool thing to do, but you can eat meat in a certain way. I don't eat meat every meal. I don't eat meat every day, but I do know that my body needs meat, and I'm able to operate in a much more balanced manner. So I think it plays into what you're saying. What, Gigi and Jess, like, what do you have to think? What's that bring up? Like Jason's vision of meditating with deceased individuals. Like, what does that bring up for you?
I don't know. I just keep on like kind of picturing these maggots like falling off the body and like crawling over to the meditating monk, and that's kind of where I got stuck.
I think maybe it's visualizing downloads. Who knows?
Well, I just want to say something is that it should, first of all, if you're living in the northern hemisphere, you have to eat meat, especially if you go back in time. It's like you wouldn't survive the winter. You have to eat meat. And if you go even further north, let's say to the Inuit in where is, anyways, I'm losing my mind after that vision. Um, basically is they just catch fish, they just catch fish and eat it, and they save like the blubber of whales and seals, and that's what they eat. There's no vegetables or fruit or things like that, and they just survive solely on the meat of animals. So human beings kind of need that to get through. Like now we have conveniences where we can choose, but if you go back to shamanic thought, it wasn't like the death of an animal. It wasn't a cruelty thing. It was, they had this idea is, if they kill the caribou and they eat it, they say the caribou now becomes the man.
Mm-hmm.
You see, it's like the spirit moves from the caribou to you. There's no separation. It's almost like they have come to you to give themselves to you to survive. And through that sacrifice, they become the human experience.
That ties back to Buddhist teachings. They put some time of ascension process of, animals, humans, things like that. And when you do it in a sacred manner, this goes back to Native American beliefs as well, like North American Native American beliefs that honoring doing it in a sacred manner, eating elk and harvesting and eating it in a sacred manner, buffalo or anything like that, or any food really. It's about perception, and it's about perspective of how you're doing it. And that's it ties back into that. But yeah, what you're speaking on is specifically in the Buddhist thing. Like I've heard that before.
And it's actually something my wife said the other day that was really, it kind of messed me up a little. She called, going up to a restaurant and ordering a hamburger. She says, "You're getting concentration camp meat."
Oh, God.
because basically you're getting like these mass farming things where the animal has no life whatsoever, and it's basically a commodity, and
Yeah, that's a shame. Yeah.
and it's like, so think of that energy of that meat you're eating, right?
Mm-hmm.
And
Very low energy. Yeah.
And I did talk, this is years back, I did talk to a shaman about this, like how do you reconcile that you're eating this stuff from your restaurants and things like that. And they said, well, this animal has had a very traumatic life and people just eat it unconsciously. When I eat it, I honor and heal it as I'm eating it. So I think more people need to understand the life that this animal lived, so that you can sit here and enjoy this burger and take into account. And when you do that, suddenly you're healing that traumatic experience instead of taking it on within you.
Mm-hmm. I feel it, man. I feel that deep, because like I feel like we can transmute anything. I feel that I think we're going back to that slowly as humanity, each individual person and humanity as a whole is getting back to that point where it doesn't matter what it is, whether it's water, whether it's an experience, whether every day we can transmute anything just by our vibration. And I think that's goes back to what we talked about in the beginning when we were taught before you got here. Jess's new show, she starts tomorrow, and
Yay.
I was again, congratulations, Jess.
Thank you.
It may be too late for me to tune in, but I maybe catch the replay of it every now and then. But definitely congratulations. But we talked about,
Thank you.
I think the mission of each individual person right now is to find their own worth and love themselves, because doors are opening up in front of all our faces, and we need to learn. We need to find our own worth before those doors open up, because when those doors open up, we need to know that we allowed to walk through them, and we need to know that we are entitled and deserve it. because if doors open up, like a lot of us, like, oh, maybe I shouldn't do that. Maybe it's going to be too much. Not talking about anybody's decisions, but lots of times we talk ourselves out because we don't look highly enough on ourselves when these doors open up. And I think the more that we do that, the more miracles will present themselves in front of our face.
Well
And ju-
said.
just to fill you in a little bit what we were talking about before, but it's so awesome how it just, the convergence of a conversation just over time just brings the thought pattern into this pinpoint, trajectory. It's so awesome to watch it. I watch it each and every time I do a show. It happens with one person or 4 people. It doesn't matter. It's so amazing.
And I'm sorry to traumatize the audience. So I feel like when it's my burden to carry some of these things, and that's the first time I shared some of those things.
So now
Yeah.
the burden is lifted.
Philosophically, I thought it was very interesting,
Yes.
as an idea.
It could there's so many different ways you could take it. Like, I would love to hear Gigi's thoughts on that vision though. Backtracking a little bit. I didn't get Gigi's thoughts on Jason's vision.
Well, I'll tell you what. I mean, we're quite running right out of time. So
We are.
But I will say that there was a whole nother line of questioning that I was going to ask Jason, but we will wait until me and Brad and JP can coerce him into coming back on our show at some point.
Of course.
And we will get to that then. But yeah, dude, this was a lot of fun. Thanks everybody for showing up. Jess, obviously, Drew, and Jason. This was a very cool show, very fantastic show. You got a cool audience that has a lot of good perspectives of their own, and this was a cool experience. And thanks for having me a part of it.
Yeah, man, it's we've been doing this before I even had a show, so it made sense to bring you on. I got to have you on, just me and you one night, so we can just get into Gigi and dig deep in that.
That would be awesome.
Dig deep in that. Jason, if you haven't made over Jess's show, she's got 5 days a week, so she's got
5 nights a week.
Man, so.
Got lots of time. It's at 11 p.m. Pacific, so you just got to stay up late.
Oh God!
We even do Friday nights. We even do Friday night shows. So
I wouldn't expect a suit the first time. That's a step up. That's a step up for me. It's a step up for me personally. So
I'm just trying to bring a little class to your audience. Jeez, get over it.
Man, I love you guys so much. You're my friends, colleagues. I appreciate you, Jess. Man,
thank you.
Go check out the Jess Rogge show Monday through Friday, late nights. Yes. Get 3 cups of coffee and go check them out. 3 cups
of coffee. Yep.
And if Jason's on there, you better have 3 cups of coffee and a couple pipes. And go check out Gigi Rabbit over at Shift Happens, where he holds the helm over there with JP and our good friend Brad Harris. But thank you all for joining us tonight. This has been another episode of the Eagle's Nest podcast. And once again, we are just going to cut out, guys. Peace. You guys can stick around. We're chat for a minute.